goes live in 2 minutes. Lynn Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Hey, look who I found on the street.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I have to make sure. We met
Yeah, but you're off. You're not. You gotta
Okay.
get. Okay, you can back up like
All
this.
right, I'm good.
Okay.
We have to sit together like this.
I know.
Or we won't be seen.
Bruce
So-
Kraus, president of the Pittsburgh City Council, thinks I should have a larger studio.
And I'll talk to anyone you want me to when I
Okay.
leave
Yeah,
to
okay.
make certain that happens.
Can you intimidate them a little
I'll
bit?
be happy
right.
to,
Tell
yes.
them this is no way to treat a guest.
Yeah.
You come in and you have.
Am I still on if I do this? I want to look at you. I don't want to.
You are. You
Okay,
are. I'll
then I
check.
can- then we
Okay,
can
but then
talk.
can we hear him okay?
Can you hear?
Yeah,
Okay.
so cool. All
I'm
right.
in your lap.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
We've
So we
had-
met at the parking meter.
we-
And you weren't happy with the parking
I
meters
hate
per
those
se.
damn things. I can use them okay. It's all those when you're in a hurry, you're approaching the only place you know you can do it.
Right.
And there's a befuddled looking old lady standing in front of it. And you think, oh shit. Oh, oh shit! I'm not gonna make it. And then I start saying, "Can I help you? Here, you do the." You know, you don't know what the.
It's a generational thing. The millennial and up, if I can even say that, they love them because it's all the technology of it. They've been hugely successful. They really have. The smartphone apps are the next to come out, so that you'll be able to do it right from your phone. You can up. I don't know
Well,
if you can
now
make
I
the-
will like that.
I don't know if you can make the initial transaction there. I suspect you can. I just don't want to say you can, but you can always extend your time and things, and people love that.
It's 20 below. It's snowing. The wind is ripping down the alley of Smithfield Avenue, and I got a.
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
And we weren't going to talk about that.
No, we weren't.
We weren't.
You know, though, what I saw? Do you know what the entrance fee to Disneyland was when it opened in
$10. Less? More? I don't know. I didn't read. Was
Well,
it
$10 is a good guess. Good guess. Good guess. Good guess.
Thank you. That's why my name's on the door.
Right. $1.
Wow. And what is it now? $150 for a family of four? or something?
Well, it's more than that.
Is
It's
it
it's
really?
$99 per person.
Oh, my
So it's
God.
100. It's 100-fold. Have you ever been there?
I have not.
You
I would
look like
like
someone
to.
who hasn't been there.
Thank you. Why would you? Why would you say that? Why,
I
what is
don't
the
know.
look
I'm
of
just
someone
being
that hasn't been there?
obnoxious. You're too
You
put
couldn't be.
together. You're
I'm
too
very
put
together,
together.
but I have a busy day today.
Yeah.
I have to make decisions on how I have to look in the morning, depending on where I have to go.
Okay,
and where
so
I need
why
to
did you
be.
have to look like this today?
I have a couple board meetings today, and I have a pension hearing today. I have a post-agenda meeting on the paid sick day. If you might want to talk, we can talk a
yes.
little bit about that. I have to attend that. We have the opening of the Beachview branch of the Carnegie Library after a $4 million renovation.
That's all good.
It's going to be spectacular. I have to be there. And then it's the Brashear Association's Christmas in July fundraiser that we do every year to raise money for Christmas presents and things for kids. So I have a full day. So that's why I'm kind of a little over put together.
Well, you're
Otherwise,
not. No, you look.
I would have come in
You're a
in
bit
like
of a clothes horse. I want to know.
My dad was a clothes horse.
What really?
Yeah.
Well, what do you look like on a Sunday morning? And what do you ever wear like?
Do you want to know what my most favorite thing in the planet to do? And I think most public people are this way. I treasure being alone. And so I can sit from like Thursday to Sunday in the same clothes without shaving and just hang around the house and putz. Do you like to putz? I can cook this or do that or clean this or whatever and not move. So,
Why is it, that's odd, that so many people in the public, you, me, if people would be surprised to know that left to our own devices with nowhere to have to be, we are total loners. We don't want to talk to anybody. What is that?
Maybe seeking a sense of balance in our lives. We go
I think
to the
I think
extreme
it's
one
darker
way.
than that. I think it's much
Actually,
darker.
so do I, but I don't know that I want to go
I
into
mean,
that,
like,
to
okay,
be honest with
Richard
you.
Nixon. He was so uncomfortable in his own skin, he couldn't even, like, he was like, like this.
I find myself doing that too.
No,
sometimes.
no,
I
no,
do
no.
sometimes.
But that he would go into and be very good at, because he won tons of elections, someplace where you have to talk to people, where you have to glad hand, make small talk. It is bizarre to me that people with that, anxiety maybe about social interaction.
You know what taught me? I was a complete social inept up until I went into AA. And we've talked about them in the past. I think we have.
Well, we
my
have,
experience.
but I don't think you have.
I've
you
been
haven't on
pretty
this show.
public about that
I know.
through the years.
And how long have you been?
27 years.
Jeez.
In July 9, this past week, I celebrated my 27th anniversary. But what AA taught me was how to be in a group of people, be uncomfortable, not know anyone, and be forced to stick my hand out and actually say hello to someone and strike up a conversation. I had absolutely no skills in doing that at all whatsoever.
What were you doing at the time you entered AA?
Drinking.
That's all you were doing. You were just drunk.
I mean, what a stupid question.
Well,
of course
I mean,
was.
like, how were you keeping a roof over your head?
Oh, I was very functional. I come from a history of functional alcoholism.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, because, and many people do, I believe.
Yes.
And it is the keeping up of the appearances that, the house is clean, laundry's done, everybody goes to work, because you have to keep up the appearances.
Wow.
So, yeah, I did that. Yeah. But,
So then what propelled you into AA if you were able to maintain a outward
that's
semblance
that's
of
just facade.
normalcy?
That's not heart and soul. It was the corruption of the heart and soul that drove me into finding recovery. I believe drug addicts and alcoholics are seeking some form of a spiritual transcendence. That's really what they're seeking. I was seeking, I'll put it that way. Because it is getting high is really about transcending, isn't it? It's trying to get somewhere, to get to like a higher place or a higher understanding.
I don't know. It's either that or it's it's the opposite. It's not going up. It's tamping down. It's numbing. It's
it is. I agree. There's a
a
medicating and a numbing because of pain and trying to.
There's
deal
an
with
anesthesia
Absolutely.
thing about it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But well, there's a saying in AA that goes, one is too many and 1,000's not enough. And that's where I get this concept of transcendence, that what ultimately drove me into seeking recovery was that no matter how much I poured in me, I never got to the place that I was seeking to be.
Right.
And it took me about 20 years of active drinking to really realize that I was never going to get there.
What was your drink of choice?
Bourbon, brown. Anything sort of brown, but not Scotch. God, I hated Scotch. I hate Scotch. And I did my share of recreational drugs, and
Me
I've
too.
been really open about that.
I've been open about that too.
I did. I mean, it was
but
the
unfortunately,
era in which we grew up in.
Well, but I still do.
I don't. I can't.
So you can't
and I wouldn't anyway.
You can't smoke a joint. You can't.
No. My recovery is about abstinence, and so I stay away from it in 24-hour increments. I just don't pick up a drink or a drug, and I go through that day. And then we talked about that a little bit coming in about our memories and trying to keep track of our lives. And I just sort of I put my pants on in the morning and try to do that 24 hours and let tomorrow take care of itself, kind of a thing.
Well, that's probably a pretty good way to live.
It's the only way I know how to live. I don't know that it's for everyone, but for me it works well. My life works the best when I stay out of my own way. That is probably the biggest life lesson I ever learned. And that comes down to trust and our ability to be able to actually trust the world. I think a lot of people that come into the world and turn to drugs and alcohol for that, anesthetization.
Not an easy word.
Yeah. Is that a word?
I don't know how to say that. Anesthetization?
I think.
You know what another word that I could never say is? Politicization.
Oh, don't do that. 'Cause now I'm gonna
no, it's impossible. Politicization?
Politicization.
Okay, politicization.
Yeah. But I think that people, I forget where the hell I was now. But
That's what
don't remember
because
what we
I go
were
off on
saying.
some stupid tangent.
But
Okay.
I do think people that never mind.
I forget too.
I'm
It doesn't
sorry,
matter.
I forget.
Okay, enough
So,
already.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
The other thing you've been open about is your sexuality.
Yeah.
Well, so you're a very open fellow.
Yes. I am.
What's the caveat there? Oh, that you'd rather be by yourself in your house and talking to nobody.
No. I seek a sense of balance in that part of my life as well too. That another thing I learned in 12-step recovery: we're as sick as our secrets, and we tend to
we're as sick as our secrets.
We want to keep our secrets. A lot of that was the the functional alcoholism, the wanting putting on good appearances but knowing inside you were dying, kind of a thing. And so what I've learned in those 27 years of actively working in recovery is that we're as sick as our secrets, and it's important to be open. I think what you're seeing today in terms of the acceptance of LGBT people, transgendered people, was really birthed back in the late 70s when Harvey Milk,
God bless him, and I'm so.
But Harvey Milk's message was very simple, and his message was just come out.
Exactly. But that was the genius.
That was the genius.
But it took every individual who came out was a courageous person. And you were the first to do it here as a politician.
As an elected official. I don't like the word politician. I am not a politician. And we can debate that.
You really think you're a public servant.
I genuinely do. You know why?
Why?
I think there is, again, I'm going back to 12-step recovery, but there is a step in the 12-step programs about correcting the wreckage of the past.
Right.
And I was a big, I screwed up a lot in my life.
You were an asshole.
I can't say that. Because it's your show. I can't say that. But you can. But I was.
Or is that what you meant? You were a jerk.
Yeah, and I feel like I have a lot to make up for, and so a lot of what drives the choices I make now is to correct a lot of that wreckage from the past. And so I want to do good. I want to be remembered for something more than the fact that I just poured drugs and alcohol down my throat 30 years ago.
Well, yeah, but don't you think you've
Well, that's
already.
I think I'm on the path to doing
If you
that.
were to drop dead right now,
what would you say about me? Okay, wait, I like this. So what would you, if I dropped dead tomorrow and you came in the studio tomorrow, what would you say about me?
I would say nothing but good things. I mean that.
You're sweet.
And
I know you would, too.
No. I would mean that.
Would.
I would absolutely mean it. I would say that in terms of your not really being much of a pal, but in fact a public servant, of your gentleness, of your warmth, of your courage in living your life, pulling yourself out of the the whirlpool you were in. I know. I would say only you've already done it. You could drop. Go ahead, drop dead.
Headline: Lynn Cullen tells council president to drop dead. I love you.
Don't you think we would all be better off if we did live our lives thinking about that obit?
I don't want to be so focused on it that I miss the moment. But look, we're getting older, right? I'm 61.
I'm older than that.
But we're not that far off. We're generationally fairly close.
Yeah, but you were in elementary school when I was in high school.
Don't you think more about what you're going to leave behind now?
Oh, gosh, yes.
Yeah, I do. And I think that's just the natural progression of aging. But I do think about what I'm going to leave behind. And I just, it sounds trite and all that, but I do want to leave it better than I found it. In some way.
And that's a life well lived.
I hope so. To go back to that whole Harvey Milk thing and what we're seeing today, it was that simplicity of just saying, just come out. And when people see who we are, that we're not those monsters and we're not those demons and these crazy stereotypes that are portrayed in movies and media and things, and that we're just normal people. It will change. Now, it took 40 years for it to happen, but I truly believe that what we're seeing today is the byproduct of that.
Okay. Well, no.
Okay.
No. I doubt if we'll get calls because people would feel like they were interrupting a very nice conversation.
An easy conversation. That's what I love about you, because it is a very easy conversation.
Thank you very much. All right. Let me vent a little.
Okay. I'm scared.
I was on the way down today, and I had on, against my better judgment, a local AM radio station.
And you won't say the name.
Well, sure I will. It was the 50,000-watt blowtorch, right? And a guy who you are on a first-name basis with, whose program you've been on much more than you've ever been on mine. This is your first appearance.
Ask me back.
I will.
Actually, I've been on your program several times. I'll remind you, though.
Okay, because I don't remember anything.
That's all right.
Okay. So, I could not believe what I was hearing. I would not believe what I was hearing. If my daughters are in the restroom and a man in a dress walks in, and, you better hope that blah, 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 and he's still Bruce to me. What is this? He gets a Courage Award from SP. And the callers.
Of course.
It is like, what's becoming of us? Where does it end? Oh, my God, everything I know. And he said, does this make me a bad person? Does this make me a bad person? And I actually found myself saying, which is strange for me, no. I was saying to myself, Marty, it doesn't make you a bad person. But it makes you, I don't know, it makes you wrong. You're a wrong person. And I hope you reach the point where you realize how wrong you are.
One thing about Marty that I think is really important to know is that Marty off air is not Marty on air. And have you spent any time with him off air?
No, and I doubt that I ever will.
Well, the only reason I'm bringing it up is this. He knows a lot of what he does, this shtick out there. I have to come back in. I can't help it if you got this lap. I feel like I'm in your lap.
All right, son.
But, okay.
Yes.
He knows a lot of that shtick that he's dropping.
I don't like that.
Well, I'm not defending that. I'm not. Please don't interpret that as my defending that.
He meant what he was saying today.
But
how could you do that?
Well,
how could you go on and whip up negative sentiment and then walk out and laugh about it?
I went off onto another subject which I should not have gone off on. This is so odd to be like this.
Okay, here, just back up.
I'm an eye contact person.
Okay, fine. Here we are. We're both on.
Can I look you in the eye and talk with you? you?
Here we are.
Is that good?
Yes.
Okay, this is better.
Okay. Just so people can.
I shouldn't have gone off on that because that's a whole different kind of conversation. What I wanted to conclude by saying in that is that he doesn't realize the damage he's doing by doing that shtick, because a lot of people buy it as truth, and that's what I have issue with. I can't imagine, to go back to your original subject, I cannot imagine what it must be like to believe inside of yourself that somehow you were born
in the wrong body.
And what that struggle must be like. It is no more my place to chastise or to judge someone for that than it would be to chastise or judge someone for anything.
But we know, because of medical science, that it is a thing. It's some kind of body dysphoria, right? Is that what they call it?
I think that's a little bit different. I think that's really more about just not generally liking your body. I think this is really more about truly believing that somehow there was a mix-up either by God or nature or a combination of both, that somehow I ended up in the wrong body. And where I believe that someone like Bruce Jenner,
Caitlyn Jenner.
Formerly Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner. What solidifies that for me is how ultra-masculine he sought to be.
He was the masculine ideal.
He was. Lynn, I had the crush.
He was. Who wouldn't have? I had a crush on him. You had a crush on him. Everybody had. He was gorgeous.
1976. He was the epitome of masculinity.
Oh, I know. And think of that.
Athletic masculinity.
Think of that. And he didn't feel like a man.
I think that's what drove the mindset to be that ultra-masculine, especially in a very public way, was to compensate.
He was
for
poor guy. What a tortured existence. Now,
I only wish him the best.
You didn't watch the ESPY Awards last night.
I did not.
I did.
There's only one thing I watch religiously.
What's that?
Every day, no matter what, I cannot end my day unless I watch the Golden Girls. I have to. What a gay thing!
Oh God, that's so gay.
It's like sitting. It's like sitting in my aunt's kitchen at 7 years old and listening to everybody just.
Really?
That's the only thing I watch.
Well, haven't you seen every episode 20 times?
100 times. I can repeat dialogue verbatim, but that's what I watch religiously. At 11 o'clock, my day ends. I get into bed, and the Golden Girls come on, and I go to bed. So no, I didn't watch the ESPYs last night.
Well, I did. And I don't know why I did, but I have to tell you, Bruce Jenner, Caitlyn Jenner.
I saw the clips this morning.
Well, the clips, I mean, it was a long speech. I was crying through much of it. And I was blown away by it. Marty is playing things from that speech that made me cry, and he's coming out and saying, "What the heck? Oh my God. Oh my God."
It's the further polarization of the culture. Look at Donald Trump and the message and the hate speech, and right now at 18% he's in the the lead of Republican candidates. But why do you think he's resonating? Because it is hate speech, and it feeds that.
Why are people so damn afraid?
I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of it is driven by
total fear.
It's fear. It's misunderstanding.
And
fear.
Media love massaging that fear.
Well, they're making money. Isn't that the bottom line of it all? The message be damned. If the message, have you ever?
What about responsibility?
Oh, I'm not arguing. I'm not arguing defense. I'm just arguing the reality. Have you ever seen a movie called A Face in the Crowd with Andy Griffith?
Oh, is that brilliant?
Is it brilliant?
Brilliant.
I give that away to people. And I say you must watch this.
Yeah, I've said that too.
A precursor
of everything that happened. The demagogue on the radio, the demagogue on television, and the power they can have.
Yes,
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, and generally it's it's the facade of don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. The whole Wizard of Oz story.
That's right.
That they are a fraud.
If you could do one thing. Oh, this is such a stupid question. If people ask me questions like that, what was your favorite interview? You would think by now that I would
You don't
have an
a
answer?
favorite
No.
interview? You're
Who was the
supposed
most?
to say me.
You know. So if you can't think of anything, that's cool. But it just occurred to me, what if, because you do know what's going on in the city, more than most.
I do try. There's so much.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Okay,
it's
okay.
such a great energy.
I know, great energy. So much going on. If you could be king for a day.
Oh.
Queen for a day?
Excuse me, I'm leaving. Kraus walks off Cullen's show.
Okay, all right. What would you like if you could snap your fingers? What would you like to? You could do what? You can get one thing that you're gonna fix.
I can't. I simply. I can't. I can't share. This sounds so.
Go ahead. Do it.
But it would be to share the wonders of urban living with the world. I live and breathe concrete. It's in my blood. I can't describe it. It is. I would die outside the city. You would die outside the city. You couldn't live in suburbia.
I lived on a pig farm.
I know, in Wisconsin.
But I never lived in suburbia. Never. Can't imagine.
I wish I could dispel the misnomer that somehow there's a downside to urban living.
You know what the downside to urban living is? The people who are. It's fear again.
Oh, of course.
It's just fear.
Well,
because the urban area pushes everybody closer together.
But I need that.
I do too.
I can't
I
imagine.
love it.
Would I own a home in Fox Chapel if I could afford to? I probably would. But I wouldn't. I would never be there because I don't like that. The sense of being isolated, and I want somebody next door.
Well, you don't want a
wanna,
home in Fox Chapel. Then you get a penthouse on one of these.
No. I mean, in terms of a single house on a plot of property, and your neighbors, next door neighbors, a mile away. I need that. I need the energy the city provides, and you know what? I have to tell the story. I went to work at 13.
Doing what?
Scooping ice cream cones at Isley's. My father worked for Isley's. It was the only job my father ever had. He worked there till he passed. And anyway, so I went to work at 13 and started making my own money. And the first thing I bought with my money was records. I am the ultimate music junkie. And not a day goes by I don't buy something. I don't have something coming in the mail from somewhere that I've bought music for whatever reason. I just love music. And you know what the very first record was I ever bought in my whole life was Petula Clark's Downtown. Because of that, the whole message of
you loved it,
what
yes.
it's like to be when we talked about Macy's
when life is making you lonely, you can always go.
It's the energy
downtown.
of the city. Now it was a different world then, but
yes.
when we would come down in town from the south side, would get the bus, my mom or my Aunt Mildred or somebody, and take me and my brother Chuck would get on the bus. They would let us run downtown. I was 6 and 7 years old. You could do that then. My mom might go to Kaufman's or to Ray's Bakery or something like that, and I would go buy pretzels from the pretzel guy on he's where the flour guy is next to Saks now. But,
okay.
But
next to where Saks used to be.
But you could do things like that, and I would just wander the streets in amazement about how cool it was to be in the energy of the city, to go to the Diamond Market on a Saturday morning, and all that hustle and bustle and commerce.
Yeah, I had a life like that too, but here's what I want to ask. You said, now you can't do that. Why can't a kid do that now?
Oh, we're going to talk free-range parenting.
No, I don't want to get into it, but that pisses me off. It just pisses me off.
You raised Sam differently, I'm sure. I'm sure you gave him that leeway.
He was a free-range kid.
Yeah, mine would be too. That'd have to.
How do you ever? Yeah.
So,
but you know what the problem is now being a free-range kid.
Get you on the Today
There's no
Show.
one to play with. No, you can't tell a kid run out the door, go play with someone. You have to have a play date.
Yeah.
You have to have a play date. Yeah. It has to be set up. Parents have to trundle
Helicopter
you over
parenting.
and what's behind this? Fear. Again, media created fear.
Agreed.
That there are child abductors behind every tree, that there are this, that, and the other thing. And
There were when I was younger. I remember.
Well, of course.
I remember the talks that my parents gave
Yes.
us about, here's
Don't
what you do and
this.
what you don't do, and if this ever happens, you come and you
Yeah.
tell us, and whatever that
Right.
the case may be. But in the summertime, they
You
pushed
let
us
you
out the
out.
door.
You saw them
Get
at dinner
out.
again.
That's
Right,
it.
I
Right.
know.
Be back for dinner, and I don't want to see your face until then.
Yeah.
And we just ran.
And we ran and we.
was
Okay, I'll
great.
stop.
I
My
know.
audience is so sick of me.
But it was. Who are
about
these
that.
people that are emailing you?
Oh, here's a subject line. You're like, what a lovely man.
Well, isn't that nice? Thank you, Mark.
Margie.
That's really sweet.
Okay, she just said that. Laura says, I'm enjoying the show so much, I wasn't sure I would, but Mr. Paduto has such a great sense of humor.
I love it.
Laura, this is not Paduto.
No,
This
I
is,
am. Actually, I am.
No,
Del
this is
Peduto.
Paduto's friend.
Yeah. And we
Paduto
should
is
talk
the
about that
Okay,
a
we
little
will.
bit. Yeah.
Paduto is the mayor.
Yeah.
He was on and he was charming.
Yeah.
This guy is the head of our legislative branch, the
Yes.
Pittsburgh City Council, and he
Yes.
represents the south side.
District 3. It's actually 14.
Oh, yeah, because it's
It was.
Oakland, and it's more, they crosses the river.
You want to know about my council district? I'll tell you a little bit about it, Ken. I know. You look at that face. But it's the demographic.
All right, go
This is
ahead,
what- I used to have
I will ask you a few.
I had a full head of hair when I started.
No, you did
I
not.
did.
You
No, I
did?
didn't.
No,
I
you
didn't.
didn't.
No, I have the Southside Flats, Southside Slopes. I have Arlington, Allentown, Knoxville, Beltsuver, Mount Oliver City, St. Clair. I used to have St. Clair Village.
Okay, so those
before
are
I
all
came-
all
Hilltop,
up on
all
this.
Hilltop
Okay,
community.
okay.
Then I go into Mount Washington and I cross the river in central Oakland.
Well,
So-
who gave you South and Central Oakland?
That was
That's
actually sort of a
crazy.
kind of a thing that took place 30-ish years
Who's
ago.
got the rest of Oakland?
We actually, Councilman Lavelle and Councilman Gilman.
So
share.
Oakland is totally splintered. That's
I
odd.
love representing Oakland. You want to talk about excitement and energy? Because it's the second downtown.
Yeah.
And I don't get to represent downtown. That's Councilman Lavelle's area. But so I do get to represent the second largest commerce center here in the city. So we all get 33,000 people to represent by decree. And of my 33,000 people, I have about 17,000 students living off campus in Oakland and about 4,000 living off campus in the South Side. So I represent about 21,000 students living off campus.
They don't vote.
No, they don't, but boy, do they have impact.
They're the ones who are
Boy,
vomiting all over Carson Street.
No,
And
they're
you're-
not, actually.
Who's
That's such a
puking on
misnomer.
Carson and peeing all over the place?
That's actually a misnomer. You'd be surprised. I lived this, okay? Don't give me that face. They, actually, you'll be surprised. Yes, is there a small demographic of that? Yes. Largely, the people that come in to participate in nightlife in the
Suburban.
South Side, they are suburban. They are from the tri-state suburban area, and they view Carson Street as the mecca for sort of goofdom. It's the holy grail of going out and getting,
So how does a recovering alcoholic end up representing
Isn't that, it's the ultimate irony, isn't it? Yeah, it really is. It's the ultimate irony. But we're making great strides. We're making
Really?
great strides. We signed on with an organization called the Responsible Hospitality Institute 3 years ago, and we have made just great strides in getting people to understand how important nightlife is. And why it should be protected and not be allowed to just spiral out of control. The mayor's vision, to have 20,000 people come live in the city of Pittsburgh in the next 10 years. Why do people choose to live in cities? There's a number of reasons. I would argue, first one, can I get a job? What's the job market like? Am I going to support myself? Second one would be, I would argue, can I buy a house? What's the real estate market like? Can I afford to live there? Third would be education opportunities. Can I pursue my education if I choose to? Can I educate my kids? But if I'm not at work and I'm not home and not at school, what do I want to do? I want to be out entertained and socialize, right?
And man,
It's so important.
there's such an embarrassment of riches in the city.
It is. So whether it's the theater districts, whether it's the trails, whether it's the parks, whether it's the nightlife, the concert venues, I think they all have as equally important impact on why people will choose to come and live here. And that's why I fight so hard to protect it.
Okay. Melanie wants to know, as someone who lives in one of the many boroughs around the city, do you think they'll ever be incorporated into it? That would be my dream, but I don't see anyone giving up their kingdoms. I read something recently where it can't happen. It's just not going to happen here because the state is involved in that. You know how cities used to be able to just gobble up like we gobbled up the north side, Allegheny City.
Well, annexed is a...
Annexed. Well, what does that mean? That's what Putin did to Crimea. We annexed.
We did.
So we can't do that.
The
really
state
anymore.
gives us our very right to exist under our charter. It does. So
I think the state has way too much power over the city.
We could do a 5-week show just talk about state issues.
It pisses me off because it allows rural and suburbanites to screw with us.
I think a lot of what I wrestle with and the challenges that I face is the fact that so many of the suburban legislators spend so much time in Harrisburg. We're the ground troops here. City Council's the ground troops. We're in the midst of the people every single day, and we hear about the issues that they face and their desires for change. And the Harrisburg legislators, they're insulated and they're isolated and they're away. Now, not all, and I don't mean to paint with a broad brush by any means, but many of them, they remain quite insulated and isolated.
Do you think if the capital of Pennsylvania was either in Philly or in Pittsburgh, it would be a difference?
I don't know. I don't know that Harry Reid.
Harry Reid Shaw.
No.
Harry.
No.
Barry.
The mayor of Harrisburg right now that's facing 500 indictments. 500.
I wondered about him all these years
John
when he
Reed,
was. I don't know who the hell he is. He's a thief and a weirdo.
It appears to be, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, it really appears to be.
Okay, so we don't.
Are we
have
running
enough
out of time?
No, I was just checking because I'm having so much fun.
Thank you.
The person who thought you were Laura, who thought you were the mayor, says,
okay.
"I'm sorry."
I take it as a compliment.
She says, "I gave him a promotion."
Yeah, no, I take it as a compliment. Thank you.
She's writing from Ann Arbor. I couldn't tell you the mayor in Ann Arbor. I'm not good with politics. Where I live, we have a supervisor, and I don't know who that is either. Well, you're a true American, Laura.
So you had Bill in here a while ago.
Yes,
Yeah,
and I've always felt that he's very uncomfortable. He's one of those people who I think, how did he get to be a politician? Because he seems uncomfortable. And yet when you do
get to meet
talk to him, and that was the first time I had an extended conversation with him, actually.
Yeah.
What a sweetie.
He's one of my favorites. I make no.
You have a
bones about it.
bromance.
Well, no, I wouldn't go that far, but I would.
You adore him.
I adore him. I
that's a
really
bromance.
do. I mean, he is so bright in so many ways. He is so qualified and so competent. He is a policy wonk.
He a conscientious holder of this job.
Absolutely. He lives and breathes it. He understands the heartbeat of an urban environment like Pittsburgh and how all the pieces need to fit together and how it needs to function. And I can only imagine what goes on inside his head and the responsibility and the weight that he carries, because he takes it so very seriously. Oh, he does. There's no question about it. And it is life-changing to be there under this administration as opposed to the past administration. Was that a good choice of words?
The child clown we had before. Just so unbelievable.
It was very difficult. It was very difficult to operate in that environment.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
What's he doing now? Is he in the basement playing video games? I shouldn't. That's not nice of me.
But you were at what's the Post-Gazette? Why am I blanking?
I don't know.
Yeah, because that's how they portrayed him.
Off the record.
Off the record.
Yeah. Well, that's right. But I think that's.
Yeah. We're better than that, right? We are.
We don't have to do that. That's not nice.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
All right.
So what else you want to talk about in terms of
the city?
Or anything? You asked me what I wanted to talk about on the street, and I said anything.
Okay, let me think.
All right.
Okay, I hate to get too serious.
Outrageous bingo. Have you ever gone to outrageous bingo?
I think I have.
It's so much fun.
I've done bingo with that's the
outrageous bingo
the Delta Foundation.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Did you read about that
Not particularly.
All right, then let's not.
Have you ever been there?
Outrageous bingo?
Yeah.
I have. I love Outrageous Bingo. They've only gone a couple times.
I was there 100 million years ago, and
It's
then
run by the Gay and Lesbian Community Center. It's their big fundraiser, and they do. They have drag entertainment, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. They pack Road of Shalom. I mean, it is standing room only for years now, and they only do it about 4 to 6 times a year, maybe.
Yeah.
But it benefits Gay and Lesbian Community Center, who is actually doing wonderful things.
And that is the
in
Delta
community.
Foundation.
That is not Delta Foundation. It's Gay and Lesbian Community Center. And
where is that now? It used to be over in Squirrel Hill.
it's actually
Where is
right
it?
on. It used to be on Squirrel Hill.
The building burned down.
Building burned.
I know.
It's-
Next to Poli's.
next to
Which
Poli's.
burned.
Yeah. I actually, before I came on to City Council, I had an interior design business. And I actually,
Big shock.
when they did the when they did the big remodel in Poli's, I was actually involved in that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when was that? That was like
I don't
mid 80s,
know.
early
I don't
90s or
know.
something like that. But that corner looks so bizarre now with the buildings gone, doesn't it?
It does. And you know
really
what?
does.
I mean, they need to clean it up. It still looks like
I know,
Dresden.
and Corey O'Connor, he represents that, and we've talked recently about that. He's getting beaten up a little bit about that. It's taking longer than it needs to, but I forget the dynamic as to why, but I think it's minutes away from being completely clean.
Here's what I wondered about that fire. It was a conflagration,
Right.
and wasn't that whole corner going to be demolished
For a hotel or
for a
something.
hotel or
Yeah.
something? And the fire happened, and by the next morning, they had knocked what was left of the building down. And for safety reasons, I suspect, and so the traffic could keep moving.
Right.
And I thought, wait a minute. Here's what I thought. This
Why
is
am I
a
not
perfect opportunity for someone to not have to deal with demolition costs. You torch the place, and I was wondering, how are they, if you knock the building down, how is the fire department supposed to figure out if it was perhaps intentionally set? They destroyed the evidence.
No, they don't demolish until the arson squads go in and check all that out first. That would be.
Are you sure?
I'm sure of that. But actually, I would argue that it would be more costly to clean up the fire site than it would be to in a very organized manner demo a building.
Okay.
And actually, it would be more costly, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm not going down your conspiracy.
All right, well,
theories.
here's my biggest,
Happening.
this is serious. I am. I'm very serious. I am feeling very conflicted about the renaissance of my neighborhood in the East End.
In what way?
East Liberty has gone from.
Are you East Liberty more than you are?
No, I'm
Squirrel
now.
City?
I'm more. I'm Point Breezy.
Okay.
I'm right near the mayor.
Okay.
Okay. But yeah, closer to
Yeah.
Larimer and East
Yeah.
Liberty. Yeah. That's my neighborhood. And I am not happy at this just rush to knock down everything, build everything. I feel like most of the buildings that have gone up are ugly. They're ugly as hell. I personally want to go after Walnut Capitol. Who the hell do they think they are? I'm serious. And
I'm listening.
not only that, it's the people who used to live there.
That's always the challenge.
It's it's always a challenge. So all the rich people are making more money, and Whole Foods is coming in, and all these trendy boutique hotels, and aren't we cool? And we're getting national publicity, and there's a whole bunch of poor people, mostly African American people, literally getting eviction notices, literally having nowhere to go. All of these buildings that are being. When do we learn? We did this to them in the Hill District. Now we're going to do it again. And nobody, and Peduto, when he was here, didn't really answer this very well.
I will. I hope.
Well, give it a shot.
Okay.
Here's the reality.
No.
The little people lose.
Always. Anytime.
Okay.
No, wait.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, but anytime there's a look at the South Side at one time. Anytime you come in and there's a revitalization and financial investments in whatever neighborhood it might be, there's going to be some gentrification and some people are going to be dislocated. I'm not defending it. I'm only arguing that is.
But it's perceived as good, and the government is always all.
But I disagree. Here's where that's changing. While Councilman Peduto was still on the council, we aggressively sought a $30 million federal grant to build affordable housing in Larimer. And I don't know if you've been in Larimer recently.
It is bulldozed. Is that what those two?
Oh, yeah.
Totally. That's all affordable housing.
All affordable housing. I forget.
Because that's a hunk of real estate.
I forget how many.
Those of you who don't know this area, it's right behind Target and Home Depot, and it's massive. It's massive. It's huge. That's all going to be
all affordable housing, all affordable single unit. I think some 1, 2, and 3 bedroom. I forget the exact mix of it. Councilman Burgess represents that. He's a little more engaged in that the totality of that conversation. But there's a
it won't be enough
$300 million. You know what?
Whatever. You can't think of the numbers, but I was hoping that those bulldozers I was.
Yes.
Watching.
Yeah, honestly, and I'm surprised that
well, he did mention that, but he talked about mixed use stuff. So we always have some. We just push poor people.
You cannot be a viable city without embracing, encouraging, and forcing diversity. You have to be, and so that I don't care if that's spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, or financial. We have to focus on creating a sense of place for everyone.
Here's another hard question.
Okay.
Why the hell do the rich guys, like Walnut Capital and all these other developers, why do they get every break? Why do they get TIFs, tax incremental finance? Why do they get any public funds to do what they're doing when that's not entrepreneurial what they're doing?
It isn't. It isn't.
They're taking no risk.
I'm going to give you an example. Before I came onto the council about 10 years ago, there was a hotly debated TIF, meaning a tax incremental financing program.
Which means they don't. You could get a TIF.
Your real estate taxes are pushed off for an amount of time. But PNC, down on the end of 5th Avenue, the first PNC tower, there where the Fairmont is, was seeking an $11 million TIF. And I remember saying, if I was on the council, there's no way I would vote for that. And I just think that's an atrocity and da-da-da-da-da. And the then councilman did vote it. And I thought it was, I never would have done it, And then after I came on the council, spent a couple years, realized the investment that one building made in the revitalization of Market Square and everything that fed off of that one development. I began to broaden my thinking about perhaps that $11 million was an investment for a much bigger picture. It took some time for it to develop, but look at Market Square now and everything around it and how we saved all those wonderful historic buildings and how they're all filled and how it flourishes. And, Market Square is
I agree.
So I'm only arguing there's always a different way of looking at things.
You cannot defend any public dollars going to build a football stadium. You cannot defend that. Oh, those poor Roonies. Oh, the poor NFL.
But all right, let's go back to Sophie, one of my favorite people on the planet.
Lover.
Sophie, we could spend 5 days talking about Sophie.
Oh man.
Sophie, do you remember when she announced PNC Park?
Oh yes, and all hell broke loose.
It just did, and and they beat her up unmercifully. And 20 years later, I guess.
Yeah, it took.
What a success story PNC Park is. Not just locally, but nationally. I was in Chicago recently for a conference, and someone there brought up how magnificent PNC Park is and how they enjoy it, and they never miss going to it. There are higher there are far-reaching
studies have been done that
benefits.
show that none of these stadiums, they don't make money back for the city. I mean, the fact that the fact that the organization is now fielding a winning team is separate from that real estate. I'm a big fan. I mean, I'm a big fan.
I really am a big fan of PNC Park.
But taxpayers should not be building stuff for gazillionaires.
And again, we could talk about that for a week.
And then they get all the revenue.
I like to seek a sense of balance. I always think there is a middle common ground, and oftentimes we don't seek the common middle ground. And yes, we do tend to go to extremes. And do I think that the public should bear the full weight of building sports stadiums? Of course not. But can I see benefit to some public subsidy in those arenas? I can. How was that?
How about giving the money? You know what somebody said? It was John Oliver the other day. He said, I forget what community he was talking about, that there was like $1 billion going into some big... And some of these stadiums now, they're obscene. They're just obscene.
Well,
they have...
culture is obscene.
The culture is obscene.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
It just is.
But he said you would do better. You think it's going to benefit the people? You would be better to fly over the city and drop $1 billion onto the city, let people scarf up as much as they can. They'll spend it. There will be more of an... I mean, he's right. Yeah. He's right.
We have 11 minutes.
Who's watching the clock?
I just looked up. It's 10:40. It's flying by.
I know.
I hate that.
So the culture, you bring up the culture. Is it toxic or what?
You know what? Maybe it is just the natural evolution of life, and I'm at that point in my life where I'm saying, thank God I'm through the worst
Me too.
of
I keep saying, I know. I'll be dead.
And maybe that's just the natural order of life.
No.
But you know what I worry about? I worry about rampant narcissism and this sense of self-importance and entitlement.
Well, that comes a little from the helicopter parents, from the technology, which allows us to create our own little universes. I worry about that. No, it can't be good.
Really worry about it.
It can't be good.
I see how quickly the world has changed in the last 20 years, and I hope I have 20 years left. I'd like to see my babies, God willing, but I wonder what that next 20 years is going to bring.
We're going to cyborgize ourselves. We are. It's such a given.
Natural Geographic had a 6-part series on the 80s over the weekend, and I had it on in the background, and I just it reminded me
of how
fast it's gone.
Well, here's my take on it. It's only going to get faster.
It is.
It doesn't get slower.
No, it's momentum.
Technology changes like this, scientific breakthroughs like this. Human beings. We evolve at the natural rate of evolution. So what I keep saying, my metaphor for people lost and bewildered in this environment we've created now is we're like cavemen with smartphones. But that is it. We're not much different. We're more like cavemen. That's how slow evolution takes. But our outside world has evolved, and we cannot keep up. We cannot keep up. That breeds the fear that politicians then manipulate, that media manipulate. People are scared out of their minds. They don't understand this world anymore. Mm-hmm. Marty was doing that this morning. I don't understand a world in which some guy can all of a sudden say he's a woman and wear a dress and blah, 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 blah. And I'm supposed to accept that. What next? Blah, 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 blah. So I understand people not being able. I have trouble catching up to the technological stuff. He has trouble, and a lot of people do, catching up to the social change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Between the two,
and they drive. The technical drives the social
change.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
You can see how quickly just change occurs. I'm from the generation when we used to joke that we were technologically literate because we could set the clock on our VCRs.
Oh, God.
Oh, do you remember
Oh,
that?
yeah, but I never could.
Do you remember that?
Oh, got it.
So-
Something just occurred to me that I wanted to ask you. Damn it. Don't you see, that shows my age. I
Yeah,
know. It was
I do
something you
that
said,
all
and
the
I was just
time.
like, I'm spinning. Okay. What are your ambitions?
None. You mean further office?
Yeah, where you
None.
get-
I absolutely love being a councilman. It's someone created the perfect job for me, and it fits me well. I love it. I think you might have asked Bill the same thing. The mayor has absolutely no aspirations for higher
higher office. No,
He absolutely.
no. He's got the job he dreamed of.
That's it.
Right.
And although I never dreamed of this job, I'm a
It just
complete
happened.
accident.
Yeah,
I am a
I feel like I
complete
am
accident.
too.
Exactly.
Right. I never dreamed of being a.
It just happened,
I
you know.
really
And well, I'm that quintessential Pittsburgh story. I'm in the house I was born in. My house was built in 1867. I am the fourth owner of my property. My godmother was the third owner. She purchased it in '43 for about $4,000. I bought it from her in '83 for $20,500, but I lived there as a child because most of the houses are duplexes because the mill workers lived that way. So the lord of that manor, if you would lived on the first floor and rented rooms on the second. So
Right.
we lived on the first floor. My aunt lived on the second floor.
Is that
and I lived there
Mildred?
towards- That's not Mildred. She
Oh, okay.
lived next door.
Okay, Mildred was
fun.
next door.
Mildred was
Okay.
fun. Mildred liked her whiskey sours and she liked a polka. She was a good egg. She was my mother's aunt. She was my great aunt, and she passed when I was like 15 or something. But so I'm that quintessential story. I've been there all of my life, and when I came back to Southside in '83 to like '95, '96, I mean, we were just booming. And I lived this very sort of, just great life. And then I saw some things that started to change, and I wasn't real happy with what I was seeing. And so I started getting involved. And, one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I was being
You're
encouraged
running
to
for
run for a
office.
public office, which I thought was madness. That was never in the cards for me. And I lost my first race. I did not win my first race. I lost by about 150 votes. It was really close. But but I learned a lot. And I ran a second time, and of course the rest is history. But it was an accident. It was not planned. Yeah, in any way.
How long have you been on council?
Just completing my second term and just won a
Really?
third term. So
Really?
8 years, and I'm going to do another 4.
And
Why
that,
are you looking at me like
well,
that?
you're going to do another 4.
I just won in May. I won.
Yeah,
another
and then
4-year
you're going to
term.
run again.
That's 4 years down the road. We
You don't
talked
know.
about,
Okay.
I'm doing those 24-hour increments.
Okay,
If
so
the
you
people
really don't
still
know.
want me there and I'm doing a good job and there's things moving, yeah.
How can you stand going to those meetings? How can
what,
you
council meeting?
stand all the meetings?
Oh, my life is a meeting. It's what
How can you
we
stand
do.
it? I hate meetings. I go and to me it's like,
You know what?
people are boring in them. People talk too much. People get off on tangents. Nothing gets done.
No, that's not true.
I-
Do you know what I get to do? I get to do some boards because of being on the council that I really, really love. One of them is the Carnegie Library.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on there for 8 years now, and that at times is my salvation. I can really see
The nonprofit board stuff meetings are more.
love it.
I agree because I serve on boards
do.
too. Yeah.
and the cultural trust. I
Yeah.
love doing the cultural trust and any number. There's a bunch of them, but those are two that really come to mind that are really fun.
But so much of it is about finances, and I don't understand finances.
is about
so you've had to
finances,
learn all
yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, it is a learning curve.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's
I don't
a learning
understand
curve.
it.
Yeah, you have to.
When I came here, City Council was such a clown show.
Oh.
It was a friggin' riot. There was Sophie on the council. Sophie, Michelle Madoff, Eugene D. Pasquale, Richard Givens.
I don't remember Richard.
Oh
Givens,
my
I'm sorry,
God.
I don't.
Who am I forgetting?
I sit in those meetings, okay?
Oh
And-
my God!
but
People
no,
were Flaherty. People were screaming at each other, throwing things, calling each other names. It was unbelievable.
I can't imagine what it would be like. I would do most anything to be in that in the middle of all of that, when that was going on, with all of those personalities.
Characters.
Oh, my God.
Who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting?
Well, there was Jack Wagner and Jimmy Furlow and Dan Honorado and, Sophie and, I mean, such a room full of big
personalities. Yeah.
Today, it's nothing like that today at all. It's just so
Well, get some
different.
personality, Bruce. It's boring.
We could talk, well, yeah.
It's
but
boring.
You know what?
But business is getting done.
I had a reporter come up to me to say, "What's up with city council these days? You're so boring." And I said, "Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment." We're there to do the business of the city, not to be entertainment. We're there to conduct the business of the city.
Yeah, but for a reporter, it used to be fun.
Yeah.
Now it's boring.
So we could talk a little bit about that, too, and how much that has changed over the years.
What has?
Just local news and
Oh, no, it's just gone downhill, and don't get me started because I'll go nuts. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
they don't cover you anymore.
Oh, my God, no,
they don't
not
cover
at
anything.
all.
Obama yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I wanted to ask you. Did you ever meet him?
I have several times.
Oh!
I have. I just adore him.
Yeah.
Am I tell you a wonderful story?
Yeah.
Okay. So he was at the Civic Arena, and he was doing his last real, hurrah here in Pittsburgh. And he had a campaign office on the south side in the 1900s.
Is this before he won the first time?
Before he won the first time. This was we're weeks away, days away maybe from the actual vote.
Election.
And he's at the Civic Arena. And I worked very hard on that campaign, and a number of reasons. Anyway, so I intimately knew the campaign office, and we had stopped there before going down. And I had my mom with me. She's a huge Obama fan, and so we went to the Civic Arena, and there was rumor that he was going to be at the campaign office, and that we really should come back.
Oh, the south, yeah,
on the south side.
I know.
So, we went, and we were, I swear, like this to the wall away from the stage. And I was just, in my lifetime, I have witnessed the first African-American president. I've witnessed a Supreme Court ruling in favor of marriage equality, and I'm about to see the first woman
president.
In my lifetime.
Yeah.
It gives me goosebumps.
I know.
It gives me goosebumps.
I know.
So, anyway, so we decided, I said to my mom, we're going to stop. And just to see if he's there. So I pull onto Carson Street, and of course there's buses and police cars and lights and things everywhere.
You know he's there.
We know. So I pulled the car over, I grabbed my mother and said, we're just going. So we went down, had to get through the Secret Service, long story short, but we're able to get into the building, and I walk in, and this, it's not that
No,
big.
it's I know.
And he's on the phone, and he's saying,
no, this really is the president.
No, man, there really is Barack Obama. I'll never forget the moment. He was so gracious, and he was so kind.
Yeah.
And he spoke with us, and we took a wonderful photograph that I still have of all of us. Doug Shields was there. I was there. I forget him. And so, yeah, I've got to meet him several times. I just think the world of him.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. Did you see he's going to be in a federal prison today, and in Oklahoma City, I guess. And his motorcade, when it came in this morning or last night or something, there were people along the way with.
Please don't tell me.
Confederate flags.
Yeah.
Blowing in the wind.
Welcome to democracy. Is your clock accurate?
Yeah.
Ask me back. Please, ask me back.
I'd love to. Will you come again?
I would love to come
fun.
again. Yeah, I'd love to. There's so much to talk about.
I know. That's true.
You know?
Okay.
And it's hard to find good conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we had fun.
Thank you. I did. Thank you. What do we do now? Just say goodbye?
We just say, Bruce Kraus, Pittsburgh City Council President, he'll be back. And I'll be back tomorrow because I keep turning up like a bad penny. And you guys have a wonderful day.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.